As safe shots on goal for some of these goalies. Give me both teams to score in the first period. That's coming in at plus 185 compared to the over 1.5 that is at minus 120. Okay, you guys ready? Let's make some frickin' money. It's time for Pocket with Jo. Happy Thursday, everyone. Jo here at SportsGrid. Welcome to Bucket with Jo over here on SportsGrid TV. We have 9 games on deck today out there on the ice, and we're going to go over picks, props, and predictions in all 9 of these games. We're going to jump straight into it. I tell you, we had every team playing on Tuesday, only that one game yesterday, but back in the full swing of things here today. And I can hardly wait for these games to kick off. Now, the games will be kicking off right around that 7 o'clock Eastern mark, and we're going to start talking about the St. Louis Blues taking on the Toronto Maple Leafs. What a better way to start this show as looking at an underdog here. Yes, I'm riding high on the St. Louis Blues today. They're coming in as a plus 190 underdog, and sign me up all day long in this matchup versus Toronto. I'm fading Joseph Woll coming out to get the start for the Toronto Maple Leafs today. This will be his first start coming back from the IR on the season, and I do think it's a prime spot to fade him. I know Toronto has those superstars out there on the ice, and the St. Louis Blues have lost Robert Thomas due to a fractured ankle, but I think this is the perfect opportunity to capitalize on just an overpriced Toronto Maple Leafs team. They're coming in at minus 235 on the money line, and this total sitting at 6.5. Now, the juice to the total is sitting on that under, and I do expect it to stay under. If the St. Louis Blues are to win this, they don't want to get in a battle offensively versus the Toronto Maple Leafs. They want to make sure they lock down on defense. The scary thing is, though, they could put up 4 goals themselves, and then if Toronto is able to put up 3, we will go over this total. Binnington expected to get the start here for the St. Louis Blues. And like I said, Joseph Woll getting the start here for Toronto. Now, looking at how these two teams have done, we have seen the St. Louis Blues average right about 2.71 goals per game. Their power play's not clicking at a high percent of 13.3, but either is a Toronto right around those same numbers. The kill is strong here for the Toronto Maple Leafs. They're killing 86.7% of the penalties. They're off that road loss to the Columbus Blue Jackets 6-2. So they are looking to bounce back. The problem here also with Toronto is the scheduling spot. They're off that game on the road versus the Columbus Blue Jackets. They're home. Now they have the Bruins on deck on Saturday. We know the rivalry between these two teams, Toronto and the Bruins, and then they'll have the Jets on Monday, an undefeated team. We'll see if that changes today, but you look at that and it's a hard look ahead spot for those 2 games for the Toronto Maple Leafs. The St. Louis Blues, this is the first game on the road for Saturday versus Montreal. It's going to be hard without Robert Thomas out there, but I'm willing to take a chance on this team. I do like Jake Neighbors. We looked at Jake Neighbors in that last game for the anytime goal. He wasn't able to get it for St. Louis. His in front of net presence is second to none, you guys, for the Blues. He got the assist in the last game. I'm going to go back to him for the goal. The plus 320 mark is for his goal. He's coming in with 2 goals and 1 assist. Now, you could also look at Jordan Kyrou. I do think we get a step up out of him. He has 7 points on the season, 2 goals and 5 assists. His anytime goal at plus 270. I expect these 2 players to come in, get the points tonight, be able to light the lamp. One of them will light it. So I'm going to take both of them. One of them will get the assist. Now, let's look at the Minnesota Vikings taking on, not the Minnesota Vikings, the Minnesota Wild. Wow, the Vikings just rolls off the tongue so easy. The Minnesota Wild taking on the Tampa Bay Lightning. Lightning, Vikings, everything's rhyming out there, you guys. What are we doing today? We're talking hockey. Let's look at the action on the ice. The Minnesota Wild rolling into Tampa, plus 130 on the money line. The Tampa Bay Lightning at minus 156. You got to question how many shots they're going to get on this one. In their last matchup out there versus the New Jersey Devils, 37 shots on goal, but they allowed the Devils to put up like 35. I think it was that first period, though. That first period, they accounted for 17 shots on net, and then the Devils started to get desperate at the end, but They're coming off that big win. They're minus 156 here at home, plus 130 for the Minnesota Wild, and this total 6.5. Now the 6.5 juice to the under, and I struggle to take this one under, even though we look here at the Minnesota Wild and what they've been able to do on the defensive side of things. This team is locking down defensively, only allowing an average of 1.83 goals per game. Marc-Andre Fleury, though, in net tonight for the Minnesota Wild. I think the Tampa Bay Lightning, with the firepower that they bring, will be able to score on him. I don't want to lay the money line. I don't think this one goes to overtime. I think Tampa in regulation is the best bet. Tampa in regulation coming in at plus 100. They have won the last 3 meetings versus the Minnesota Wild. Vasilevskiy expected in goal. And when we look at Vasilevskiy versus the Wild, strong numbers out there. He's gone 6-4-2 in 12 games versus them, with a goals against average of 2.14 and a save percentage of 922. So I'm trusting Vasilevskiy to come in nice and strong. This is also the Minnesota Wild's game 5 of 7 on the road. You know they're getting tired out there. It's kind of these middle points where I like to fade teams, even though they are so strong defensively. I'm looking to fade that defense out there to have some struggles versus a high octane offense like the Tampa Bay Lightning. Like I said, coming off that big win versus New Jersey Devils. That was an 8-5 win over that Devils team, which was really surprising that they were able to put up so many goals. Now, one thing you could look at if you're liking the Minnesota Wild, if you want to look at something tonight, you guys, you can look at the Wild for their power play points. That power play is clicking nice and strong, and the kill is not good here for the Lightning. The power play for the Minnesota Wild converting at 33.3% of the time, and the kill is only stopping opponents at 68.2% of the time for the Lightning. So I would look at the Wild for those power play points tonight, but I do think Tampa ends up getting things done here in regulation, and at plus 100, we're getting a slight plus money. But you guys, thanks so much for being here today. We're going over every single game here on SportsGrid TV. Now, if you haven't downloaded the SportsGrid app, make sure you go over and do so. My Madden Quickie will be out later today in NFL football on the app, so stay tuned for that. Let's get into what should be an exciting game out there in the Garden. We have the Florida Panthers taking on the New York Rangers, and the New York Rangers, one of the hottest teams in the league right now. You look at this team, offensive and defensive numbers are just second to none. They're averaging over 5 goals per game at 5.17 on 35 shots on net. They're getting those high danger shots out there, and they're able to convert and light the lamp. Their power play is elite, 31.6% of the time. And I love how they're able to dominate and win those faceoffs. They're winning the faceoffs right around 53% of the time. Their defense, though, is stepping up. This isn't just that highly explosive offensive team. This is a well-structured defensive team that's able to win those turnover battles and really limit their opponents. They're limiting their opponents to 2 goals per game, 4th best overall in the league. Now, they are allowing those shots to come in at 29.7, so they're relying on Igor Shesterkin to really stand on his head. He's gone 4-0-1 on the season with a 1.97 goals against average and a save percentage of 932. He is playing phenomenally strong out there in goal. Now, they've won their last 4 games, and their only loss this season has come outside of regulation. So they've won every game in regulation. They had the overtime loss versus Utah. That was a 6-5 loss. I do think here at home, this is a prime opportunity to jump on them. The problem is when we look at the lines here, for these two teams, minus 152 for the New York Rangers and plus 126 for the Florida Panthers. Total 5.5 minus 122 to the over. The juice to the over, you guys, and this is going to be dangerous out there. This bet could die in the first period, but I'm going to take this one under 5.5 goals at plus 100. I'm expecting that lockdown defensively in this matchup. We have the best team in the Atlantic right now, with the Florida Panthers sitting first in the Atlantic. We also have the best team in the Metro with the New York Rangers. This battle should be a defensive battle out there. Now, we know Matthew Tkachuk got back on the ice for the Florida Panthers, but Barkov's still out of the lineup for the Panthers. And I do think he's going, without him on the ice, we're going to see the Panthers struggle to shut down Panarin. Panarin is phenomenally strong here for the Rangers, so hopefully Panarin doesn't ruin this under 5.5. But I do think the Rangers get up and then they lock down on that defensive side of things and completely limit the Florida Panthers' ability to get those goals. If you're nervous about the under 5.5, I could take the Florida Panthers under 2.5 goals in this one. That's coming in at -102. I expect this to be a 3-2 win here for the New York Rangers. So the under 2.5 for the Florida Panthers at -104. I like it. Just all feels so scary and dangerous in this one, but I really do think that's the way this game goes. Panarin is leading the New York Rangers with 13 points, in those 6 games. So if you want to look for him for the points tonight, we know the defense needs to really get to work here for the Florida Panthers. They're allowing 3.63 goals per game. Bobrovsky, though, he's been okay. He needs a more solid game, and I think Bobrovsky will bring it versus the Rangers. So give me the under 5.5 in this one, and let's make some freaking money out there. So big sis Lisa, glad to hear that you are doing well. Let's get things going at home in the Garden here for the New York Rangers. I am so glad you guys are safe after the hurricane. Now, if you're looking for shots on goal, we still know we're allowing those shots by the New York Rangers at 29.7. The Florida Panthers are bringing it, averaging 30.7. So you can look at a couple of these players for their shots on goal. Sam Bennett, an interesting one to look at. Sam Bennett's been able to convert those goals for the Panthers, and I like his ability to go over. Now, you're going to have to lay juice, 3+ shots on goal. I don't like laying the -140, but if you want to look at that, he is leading this team on 5-on-5 shots on goal for the Panthers. And then I think you should look at some defensive players here for the Rangers to get those shots, because we look at these defensive players, they're getting those shots from the blue line for against the Panthers, not for the Rangers, against the Panthers. The defensive players are getting them. So when we look at defensive players out here for the Rangers, Adam Fox is the first one who comes to mind. Could Adam Fox light the lamp tonight? He absolutely could. I'd look at his shots on goal. It's probably sitting at 2 shots on goal in this matchup. Next, the Dallas Stars taking on the Boston Bruins. Current lines on the Dallas Stars versus the Bruins. It's a pick 'em. It's -110 either way. Now, this has to have come because of Casey DeSmith being named the goaltender instead of Jake Ottinger. Earlier this morning, that line was +100. So we're just going to confirm that it is Casey DeSmith before we go ahead with this, but I like Boston either way. It does kind of change how I'm thinking about this total. I think Boston's able to get the win. I'll lay the -110 currently. Again, it was +100. It's got to be the goaltending change for Dallas. That total sitting at 5.5, -122 to the over and +100 to the under. So I was leaning on this one to stay under that total, expecting both of these defenses to come out phenomenally strong. These teams are led by their defense, their size, their physicality out there on the ice. They're both able to get those turnovers in the neutral zone and force their opponents to struggle to get those shots on goal. Now, the shots on goal have been coming more so for teams this season, but I do think we're going to see that lockdown in this one versus each other. So Casey DeSmith is confirmed. I'm seeing you guys. The Dallas Stars are off the loss to the Buffalo Sabres. They allowed 4 goals in that one. It was a 4-2 loss. And we're looking at the Boston Bruins. They've lost their last 2 games. This team is taking too many penalties. Yeah, 14.3 minutes in penalties out there on the ice each and every game. The good thing, though, for us taking an under or looking at Boston is the Minnesota Wild haven't been able to capitalize on those power plays, only converting it 9.5% of the time. The kill is strong here for the Bruins. So give me the Bruins. This offense isn't clicking either to win it in a low-scoring battle out there on the ice, because the Dallas Stars have been limiting opponents, but again, Casey DeSmith could allow some more goals by the Bruins. So I think the best bet is the Bruins here. They've won 7 of the last 8 meetings as well. Moving on, we got the New Jersey Devils off that loss to the Tampa Bay Lightning. They will now face the Detroit Red Wings. They're coming in as a -172 favorite here on FanDuel, and it's +142 for the Red Wings. Total 6.5. Now the 6.5 juice to the under at -112, but still -108 to the over. I'm liking this one under. I really do think we'll see a lower scoring game. We look at goaltending. Jacob Markstrom, I'm looking for a strong performance out of him. He's 3-2-1 on the season with a 2.99 goals against average and a 902 save percentage. Now, versus the Detroit Red Wings in his careers, we have solid numbers, 5-2-1 in 8 games with a 1.86 goals against average and a 935 save percentage. So we need Jacob Markstrom to perform like he has in the past versus the Red Wings. The Red Wings aren't a highly explosive offensive team. They're coming off the win versus New York Islanders, which they locked down on the defensive side. They won that 1-0. I'm expecting that lockdown on the defensive side for both of these teams. The Devils probably would have got their butts handed to them in the locker room after that loss to the Tampa Bay Lightning in the first period. Like I said, they allowed the Lightning to come out firing, shooting 17 shots on their goaltender. They also allowed a total of 37 shots. And yes, they finally stepped up. We're able to get those shots. There was no defense played between either of those teams, with the Lightning allowing the Devils 35 shots on goal. This is a team that is averaging right around 30.6 shots on goal per game. Their power play converting at 25%, but their kill is strong at 82.6%. The power play kind of weak here for the Red Wings at 15, and their kill probably the worst. So the Red Wings have to stay, well, not the worst, one of the worst. It's like 68%. The Red Wings have to stay out of the box. If the Red Wings allow the Devils to come out and go on that power play, we're going to see that conversion, which will push us over this total of 6.5. So I still like the under, 3 of the last 5 to the under. I think the New Jersey Devils rebound nicely to start this game. So we're seeing them off the loss to the Tampa Bay Lightning, one in which they didn't play enough defense. I'm expecting them to go up early in the first period, get that goal, and then this team to concentrate on locking down on defense because they have the Islanders on deck tomorrow at home. That's a battle of the Metro out there. They absolutely need to lock down defensively if they want to beat the New York Islanders, because the New York Islanders can be stingy in allowing those goals. So we're looking for this team to get into some sort of rhythm here. The Red Wings currently sitting 7th in the Atlantic, and we have the New Jersey Devils currently 2nd in the Metro, going 5-3-1. So give me the Devils in the first period on that puck line, laying the half a goal at plus 146. I really do think they get up fast and early. Happy Thursday. It's Thursday, Kev. You scared me for a second. I thought I slept through Thursday. It's, yeah, it is. I can't believe it's Thursday. Colorado versus Utah, the next game on deck here. You also look at the Devils team. They have won 4 of the last 5 meetings over the Red Wings. So Colorado versus Utah. Colorado finally getting in some rhythm, you guys. This team has been stepping up offensively. Still, they're allowing these goals to come in. So we look at a Utah Hockey Club that has been fire to start the season, pulling off some incredible wins, led by Clayton Keller. You got to wonder if this team can pull off the upset here at home. The Utah Hockey Club coming in at plus 125 and the Colorado Avalanche at minus 150. Now, total of 6.5. You're actually getting plus money to the over 6.5, which I am shocked by, at plus 100, minus 122 to the under. I can't take this one to the under. I do think you've got that offensive firepower there for Utah, and this team can trade goals with Colorado. They're averaging 3.14 goals per game, and they're averaging 27.4 shots on goal. Now, their power play converting just over 20%. And when we look here at the Colorado Avalanche, we know one of the best power plays out there in the league, converting at 37.1%. This team averaging 3.43 goals per game on 31 shots. I'm expecting both of these offenses to find success. Georgiev and Connor Ingram expected in net. Now, when we look at the defense, again, we know Colorado's Achilles heel has been goaltending and defense. His defense is allowing 4.43 goals per game, but that has come by the way of the goaltender just being weak in there. Georgiev has not started off strong because this team is limiting their opponents to 25.6 shots on goal. Their kill, though, is terrible. It's one of the worst kills out there in the league, only killing 65% of the penalties. So because of that, I think Utah can convert on the power play. I look at Clayton Keller for the power play point tonight. Now, I'm also going to look for an explosive start to this game. First period over 1.5 is minus 136. I don't love the juice on that, but I'll put a half a unit on that and a half unit on my favorite bet. Both teams to score in the first period, coming in at plus 160. Now, the power play points, well, I think Utah will convert. I also think you've got to look at the Colorado Avalanche to convert. The problem is here on FanDuel today, I am not seeing power play points for any of these teams. please don't tell me that FanDuel has wiped them out because of Ross Colton. Ross Colton has been absolute fire for us on that power play. And I know if you've been betting them with me, that FanDuel everywhere, the books are losing money, allowing you to hit on these power play points. So if you can get power play points tonight, again, Nathan McKinnon, Rantanen, Cale Makar, Ross Colton, and Casey Middlestat are the 5 players on the top power play line that you have to circle for Colorado. If you can't get the power play points tonight, look for them each, I would say 2+ points or round robin 1+ for these players, because I do think those points are still coming for Colorado. On the Utah Hockey Club side, it is Clayton Keller over for his goals. You could also, or for the goal, you could also look at the Avs over 3.5 goals. That's coming in at +106. I do like Utah over their 2.5 goals, but it's too juiced at -146. So over first period, over battle the Central out here. I just don't see either of these teams locking down on defense in this battle. Next, 9 o'clock Eastern, you guys, the Carolina Hurricanes, who I saw in action on Tuesday versus the Edmonton Oilers. I was up in Edmonton for a hot minute. Got the win in OT, looked brilliant, looked strong and defensive out there, just kind of hockey I like. We'll be taking on my Calgary Flames tonight. Now, the Canes roll in here at -196 on the money line. We have the Flames up +162. And this is a Flames team that really has been surprising people. Their only loss so far on the season is to Seattle, and that was an overtime loss. So this team has won all of their games in regulation. Well, they've won in regulation with only loss coming in OT. Total 6.5. That 6.5 juiced to that under at -128, +104 to the over. I would be really cautious at taking this one to either side of this total. I want to see confirmation in net, and I just want to see if we're getting anything right now. Who is going to be in goal for Carolina? Because that does change how I'm betting this. Now, if Frederik Andersen is in net, which he is expected for the Carolina Hurricanes, this game I would take to the under. Now that's 6.5 at -128. Kind of tells me that the books don't think it will be Frederik Andersen, that it will be Trocheckov. Trocheckov coming in here for the Carolina Hurricanes leads me to Calgary win and the game to the over in a 4-3 battle. That could happen in OT. I love what Calgary is bringing offensively, and one of the biggest surprises right now, screenshot Calgary sitting first in the Pacific, and let's put that up on the wall and call it a season here, Calgary Flames fans, because we know we're due for some regression. This is supposed to be our rebuild year, but magic has happened to start. It's not going to last. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. We all know it. My brother is actually down in Australia, you guys, if you didn't know this, and it's hard for him to watch the games. He missed the first couple. He's super superstitious. So because he missed the first couple, he's like, I can't watch. We were talking yesterday. He's like, I can't watch till this team starts losing because they've been winning without me watching these games. So my brother's doing the Flames a favor right now. He's not checking out these games, and hopefully they can continue to win. It's going to depend on goaltending. Trocheckov in net, I'm taking Calgary. If it's Frederik Andersen, I can't touch it. I think the Canes should be able to win this in regulation. Trocheckov makes this an overtime game and a Flames win for me. And then I'll take the Flames team total over 2.5. You can get right now -126. So I might sprinkle a little bit on that before I absolutely know the goaltending here, but that is what I'm looking at, you guys. I do think if you're looking for shots on goal tonight, we look at a Carolina Hurricanes team that has limited opponents to 25.8 shots on goal per game, which is 3rd best in the league. It's interesting to see. Calgary's only averaging 26.8 shots on goal. Their face-off, they're not winning them. It's bad. It's only 44% of the time. We know the Canes are strong. The Canes are strong on defense. Looking at players from Calgary, the books have their shot props so juiced. And when you go up to such a high number to get value, like even Kuzmenko coming in for plus shots on goals, minus 144. He's only hit that a couple of times. So Kadri coming out, you have to take him for 4+ shots on goal at plus 120 before you get any value. So if you're looking at Calgary, especially with Frederik Andersen not in net, I would look at Kuzmenko for the goal. He's coming in at plus 270. He's had 2 goals. So I do like, or sorry, 1 goal and 4 assists. He's had 2 shots in the last 3. But then Kadri here, you can look at Kadri for his goal plus 220. He has 3 goals and 2 assists on the season. He had 2 shots on goal versus Pittsburgh, 6 versus Seattle, 3 versus Chicago. So when we're looking at him for 4+ shots on goal, yes, we're getting plus money, but he's going against a defense that is so phenomenally strong at limiting their opponent's abilities. So I can't look on shots on goal for Calgary. I would look at Kadri or Kuzmenko for that anytime goal if it's not Frederik Andersen. And then when we turn over to the Carolina Hurricanes, it's the same sort of thing here for those shots. Now, Calgary is allowing an average of 30.5 shots on goal per game, and the Carolina Hurricanes are averaging over 32 shots. So the Canes are more likely to get those shots. Dan Vladar, he's 2-0-1 on the season with a 2.64. He needs his defense to absolutely stand in front of him in this game tonight because Sebastian Aho will be bringing the heat. He's coming in at 4+ shots on goal at plus 175. Again, it's a lot to ask because he's only hit this twice, and that was with versus Edmonton and versus the Tampa Bay Lightning. So he's strong at getting those goals. So he's got 1 goal and 1 assist in that last game versus Edmonton. And then 3 shots on goal versus the St. Louis Blues, 9 shots versus Edmonton. So he can have that ability, and he could have it here versus Calgary. So Calgary needs to give Dan Vladar that support. If you want to look at Sebastian Aho because of how hot he's been to get that anytime goal, I don't hate it. Seth Jarvis as well for his 3+ shots on goal. This one makes a little bit more sense. He's coming in at plus 118. He had 2 shots versus Edmonton, but we had 5 versus the St. Louis Blues, who are a strong defensive team, and 5 versus the Tampa Bay Lightning. So Seth Jarvis would be the one I'd look at first. Okay, the Winnipeg Jets, the undefeated Winnipeg Jets, sitting 6-0 on the season, roll into Seattle to take on the Kraken. The Kraken destroyed Calgary's winning streak. Can they destroy the Winnipeg Jets? Now, odd lines, you guys. Again, I hate these lines. I don't know if people are expecting the Winnipeg Jets to be due for the loss, but they're only minus 128 for an undefeated team here, plus 106 for the Seattle Kraken, and this total of 5.5. The juice to the total is on the over, which I'm not buying. It's minus 102 to the under, and I'm taking a lot of under games today, but I love this one to the under. I also love the no goal in the first 10 minutes. That's coming in at plus 108. You've got Connor Hellebuck here versus Joey Daccord. Now, Joey Daccord doesn't have the best stats, but I'm expecting this to be like even a 4-1 style win for the Winnipeg Jets. How many 4-1 wins have they had already this season? This team has been absolutely dominant on the defensive side of things, really limiting their opponent's ability to, 1, get the shots on goal. Well, it's right around 29, but to be able to find the back of the net. Hellebuck has a 5-0-0 record with a 1.400 goals against average and a 948 save percentage. Now, will he be due for some regression? Yes, but I don't think it is in this matchup. I also like the Kraken's team total under 2.5. That takes out the whole element of if the Kraken are in the penalty box, if they get frustrated out here, Winnipeg is just going to continue to light the lamp each and every opportunity they give them. This power play is the best in the league, clicking at 44.4% of the time, and the kills not strong enough here for Seattle to slow them down, only limiting their opponent 73.7% of the time. So no goal in the first 10 minutes, the under 5.5. The Kraken's team total under 2.5 of plus 108. They scored 2 or less goals in 4 of their last 7 games on this season, and the power play points again are not listed here for the Winnipeg Jets. I really am concerned FanDuel has wiped them off the board, but if you're looking at power play points, Kyle Connor, Josh Morrissey, and Mark Scheffler out here, Scheffley for the Winnipeg Jets. Yeah, Seattle's averaging just under 9 minutes per game in the box. Not a pretty state. You guys, you've hung with me for 30 minutes. We got one more game to go over. Don't go anywhere. It's the San Jose Sharks versus the LA Kings. This is going to be an interesting matchup. These teams do play again. The Sharks still searching for their first win, and I believe it's Tuesday that we see these teams play again, but in San Jose. So the San Jose Sharks on the road here, winless team searching for that first win, coming in at plus 255. We know we love Tyler Toffoli and what he has brought to the table. Celebrini still on the IR. We have the Kings at minus 320. That's disgusting, you guys. We got a total of 5.5. Minus 130 to the over and plus 106 to the under. The puck line here for the San Jose Sharks, plus 1.5 at plus 100. The LA Kings, minus 1.5 at minus 120. It's got to be the Kings on the puck line here. I struggle to see the Sharks getting the win. I do think with them playing again in San Jose on Tuesday, I've actually already taken the Sharks straight up on the money line. Now, you might not be able to get this on FanDuel, but shop your books that have those early lines out right now, because I think the Kings, after beating the Sharks today, they will play on Saturday in Utah or versus Utah at home. And then they play the Sharks on the Tuesday. But the problem in here is that look ahead. They play on the road on Wednesday. So that will be their first night of a back-to-back with the Vegas Golden Knights on deck. We know the rivalry between the LA Kings and the Vegas Golden Knights. So I will fade the Kings early now, expecting them to lose in the next matchup versus San Jose on Tuesday. Don't take the Sharks to win today. Take them for next Tuesday with the Kings on the first night of back-to-back with the Vegas Golden Knights on deck the next day after they beat the San Jose Sharks today, and then roll into Utah and play that game in between. Look for the LA Kings to control this game defensively. The defensive numbers aren't as sound as I'd like to see, but we know this team is a strong powerhouse team. My mom calls them bullies out there on the ice. They like to get those hard hits, and they will be all over Tyler Toffoli out here for the San Jose Sharks, really limiting what he can do. Now, I want to play the Sharks team total to the under 2.5. The book said, heck no, and juiced it to minus 174. So can't hit on that. I like the puck line here for the Kings. Can they go over their team total of 3.5 goals? They absolutely could. Vanacek is confirmed in net here for the San Jose Sharks, and he's 0-3 on the season with a 3.14 goals against average and a save percentage below 900. The problem here with hitting the Kings team total over 3.5 is the books juiced it again at minus 136. So the best value I can get is the Kings on the puck line, minus 1.5 at minus 120. That being said, if you want to look at the Kings in the first period, which is something that now that I am talking, I'm going to hit on first period. Let's go. First period puck line for the LA Kings on FanDuel, minus 0.5 goal at plus 106. I expect them to get up early in this game. Now, we know Sharks have been competitive in some of these games, but I could see this even being a 2-1 style with the Kings grabbing both of 2 goals and the Sharks sneaking in that one, or this being a 1-0 for the Kings. So I like the Kings in the first period to cover that puck line. You guys, I appreciate each and every one of you for being here. Over 500 people tuning in live right now. Do me a favor, hit that like button, hit that retweet button. I would appreciate it so very much. And thanks so much for joining me over here on SportsGrid TV. Ton of action out there. Remember, watch the goaltending for the Carolina Hurricanes. If it's not Frederik Andersen, we're going straight up on Calgary on the money line and the over in that game. Look also for Colorado and Utah to be a high-scoring first period, over 1.5, and both teams to score. Look for the Devils to get up quick on the Red Wings, covering that puck line in the first period off that loss to the Tampa Bay Lightning. Those are my favorite bets, as well as, come on, we got to go with the under between the New York Rangers and the Florida Panthers. Hold your breath. We could have a terrifying first period, which looks like this one's going to go over because we know the Rangers are so explosive offensively. The Florida Panthers need to give Bobrovsky all of the support because he's been a weakling. But you guys, All the best. Let's make some freaking money out there on the ice. We'll be back tomorrow. Loaded slate again tomorrow, same time over here on SportsGrid TV every single day, including weekends, noon Eastern. I'll see you then, you guys.